Okay, you're welcome back to the Lighthouse tutorial series, and today is day 5. And of course, as mentioned earlier, today we're going to be learning about text markup. So just a quick overview of what we'll be handling in this video. We're going to be talking about paragraphs, headings, thematic breaks, lists, some other elements, contexts such as block quotes and the rest. We're also going to know and learn how to organize a page. We're going to practice with some inline elements such as some elements that will make your text look bold without having to use a style sheet. We'll also be dealing with some generic elements, div and span. We're also going to learn how to improve accessibility with ARIA, and we're also going to learn about character escapes. When you want to input a special character in HTML, you don't just type it in straight. No. You have to use certain keywords to integrate them. And after all of this, we're going to do a quick recap of what we have learned, and then I'll leave a link in the description below where you can test yourself. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is to open up my text editor. Nice, so it's open, and I'm just going to create a new document here. HTML, so maybe I'll just call this day 5. Now this day 5 is actually the name of the folder that it's going to be in. So after it's created this, I'm just going to delete this CSS and JavaScript file here because we won't be dealing with them right now. And for each video, I'm going to start my documents, my HTML markup from scratch, so that you guys will be able to get used to it quickly. So yeah, the first thing we do is a document declaration. So doc type HTML. I'm going to open HTML tags here. Just going to close it up. My head tag. Remember, there's a difference between tags and elements. Now, tags usually don't get rendered with your HTML text, but elements now, they get rendered alongside your HTML text. So they are the ones that help your HTML text to get marked up and assign certain properties to them that will make them to behave in the way you want, whereas tags don't do that. That is the function of elements. So after opening my head element, I'm going to set my meta chasset. This is simply the encoding. Meta chasset equals to UTF-8, and I'm going to close it up. Next thing I'm going to do is to add a title. So remember, when you want to start a new web page, you need to always think of what you want it to be. Always organize your content. So I've already done what I'm supposed to do. So I'm just going to call this title day 5 in brackets text markup. Beautiful. Good. So what I'm going to do next is to open a body tag. This body tag is going to contain everything that's going to be associated with this document, from my headers to my footers. Every single thing is going to be contained in this body tag. So let me just open one up here. Body. So now I'm sure there are some bells that should be ringing in your head, like, do I always have to write this from scratch? Isn't there like a feature in this code editor that can just help me do it? Well, yes, there is a feature for that. So let me just close this. Let me just erase this. I actually started this from scratch so that you know how we got here. So in case you just use IntelliSense straight and you don't actually know what it means, I am explaining it first so that you know what each line does. So just going to type this in HTML5 because that is what we're going to be working with. Now remember, I made mention of some other meta names such as those what's the name for responsive web design and for easier accessibility, where you see these two are part of them, like this meta name here, the one that immediately after this UTF, after the encoding, where the cursor is blinking. This one is used for responsive web design, while this one is used for improved accessibility. Remember, I said I'm going to be introducing you to meta names one by one. So remember, I'm calling this day 5 text markup. Nice. Then my body tag. So as mentioned earlier, the first thing we're going to be dealing with are paragraphs. So paragraph. So I'm just going to open a new paragraph. Now when you want to start a new paragraph, always use the P elements. Remember, elements are what render your HTML code properly, is what gives them that property. So when I use the P element, it simply means that I want to open up a new paragraph, whereas tags are what enclose the HTML code itself. Those ones they don't really do much in rendering our documents. These paragraphs and headers and other elements are what do the work for us in terms of rendering our elements. So the 5 text markup. So maybe in this paragraph I'm simply going to type in I'm a full stack web developer. Patronize me. Full stop. Okay, that's good. So in this paragraph I simply typed in some stuff for you to see. In case you don't know, those are the things I do. I'm a full stack web developer. I'm also a mobile developer and a Windows graphic user interface developer. GUI, pronounced as GUI, stands for graphics user interface. So I'm just going to run this code and bam, it renders it up as a paragraph. So that is it about paragraphs. There isn't much there. So I'm just going to talk about headers now. Now the different level of headers, the different sizes represent different information classes. So maybe for instance now I want to talk about maybe should I say maybe the solar system. Yeah, solar system. The solar system. Nice. That's a very huge header. Now under this solar system, maybe I want to talk about something less that's below the solar system. I can use headers to show the importance of each of these documents. So for this solar system, I'm just going to open a new tag and maybe with a header 2 elements, I'm just going to go on and say planets in the solar system. Okay, good. So maybe with a header 3 tag, I'm going to list out all the planets. If you can remember, my very early mother just started using Newport. I remember primary school. So Mercury. Uranus. Uranus. Very nice name. Uranus. Very beautiful name. Mercury. Then Neptune. Beautiful. Pluto, I don't think it's regarded as a planet anymore. So yes, we've talked about the planets in the solar system. So maybe next we might want to talk about the satellites in the solar system. Satellites, little bodies that orbit the planet. So maybe I'm just going to talk about one. We all know this one very well, and let me call it satellite that orbits the Earth. Can't keep myself. The satellites that orbits the Earth. So I'm just going to use maybe a header 5 tag for this. A header 5 tag, and I'm going to make mention of the moon. So beautiful. And what else again? Maybe a header 6 elements to show continents. Now, to show continents in the Earth, I'm going to talk about the continents under this with a different element, but let's just run this code to see. So remember, I said header tags number from 1 through 6, and you can see the difference. This right here is this solar system here. This one highlighted is a header 1 tag. This one here, is a header 2 tag. Then the 8 planets over here are header 3 tags. This is a header 4 tags, header 4 elements, not tags but elements. I usually get the names mixed up. Header 4 elements, then header 5, and finally header 6. So header elements number from 1 through 6, with the first one being bigger than the larger than the other. Yes. So next thing we're going to be talking about thematic breaks. Now I'm trying to take this orderly in the order that I have mentioned it. So maybe for instance now you want to indicate the end of a section. So let's call this solar system maybe a part of something, and we want to indicate an end to it. So what we can just do is to call in an empty element. Now this empty element is called a thematic break, and it's just calls in a horizontal line right underneath where we have put it. So if I run this code, bam, you can see the horizontal line that wasn't there before. This is called a thematic break, to just divide your website to show where an information has ended. So the planets in the solar system, I'm just going to put a thematic break here. Horizontal row. HR stands for horizontal row. And then also here, so I'm going to call in one a horizontal row. Now it has been divided into different sections. Now notice how these headers represent level of importance, or should I say level of superiority. So the solar system is the combination of all the planets, right? All the planets are contained in the solar system. No one planet is bigger than it, because the solar system is a collection of each and every one of these planets. But which planets make up the solar system? Then you have it reducing in terms of of degree. So you have all the 8 planets here. Then every planet has its own satellites. I won't lie to you, I don't know the names of the other satellites of the other planets, but I do know that of Earth very well, which is the moon. So the moon is a satellite that orbits the Earth, a natural one. Then you move down to the continents. Now I'm going to show you how we're going to list the continents now, just to make it look more professional. So yeah, that should be about it there for thematic breaks. So we're done with thematic breaks. So the next thing I want to talk about now are lists. So list, we basically have 3 types of list. We have the ordered list, the unordered list, and finally the description list. So I'm going to talk about each and every one of these. As a matter of fact, I don't think I'll write anything under these continents. I just use these headers to show the degree of their importance. So I'm just going to delete this. Nice. So let's talk about lists. So the first list we are going to be talking about is the ordered list. In order to call in an order list, we simply type in OL. OL. Unordered list. Unordered list, not unordered list. This is for an ordered list. Now I can't start putting things in this list and expect it to load up. No, I need to call in a list elements. So this ordered list is the tag, then the list elements within it will represent what will be in that list. So when I call in a list element, so just going to go on like this. So what do I want to list out? Maybe some awesome Gen Z techies I know. Endurance Johnson, some Pleasant the Alpha, after Pleasant the Alpha, to be the revolutionary Mark Sai Papu, and maybe should I go with Nifemi Bakari? Nice. These are some of the Gen Z techies that I know that are doing great things. Maybe I might leave a link in the description to their profiles and you can check them out. So I'm just going to run this code. So as you can see, it is an ordered list and it numbers them from 1 through 5, all the 5 elements that are in that ordered list. So that is it for ordered lists. The next list we'll be talking about is an unordered one. So in this unordered list is just UL. The tag is UL. So UL for unordered lists. UL for unordered list. The UL stands for unordered list, while OL for ordered list, O ordered, and L list. So just run it. Now if you notice, the numbers changed to bullets. So ordered lists now, they follow a specific pattern. They are numbered accordingly. But unordered lists are not. They just random, something like that. Oh, I spelled revolutionary wrong. Revolutionary. The revolutionary. Yeah, that's me. Beautiful. So that is it for unordered list. So and the next list we'll be talking about is called a description list. So maybe you might want to describe something in a list. What's wrong with this? You might want to describe something in a list. You need to provide extra detail on that. You use what we call a description list. So to open one, I'm simply going to type in DL, a description list. Nice. After we calling the description list, next thing we need to do is a description type. Now this will be sort of like a header for this list. So what should I call this description type? Maybe also CSS frameworks. Oh no, let me just write something like this. Students hub. Okay, then after I'm done with the description type, I can go to the how will I say call this now, to the description definition, and that is DD, description definition. So how do I okay? Student hub is an online learning platform built for Nigerians. Full stop. The aim of Student Hub is to improve the standard in the country by providing top-notch educational content. And I'm just going to run this. Okay, so it seems there's an error here. Okay, nice. So this is what the description list looks like. So we called in the description list successfully. Now this first Students Hub you see here is the description type, while this paragraph element, this one that is arranged in a paragraph, is called the description definition. So that is it about lists. The next thing we're going to be talking about is some other elements content, such as block quotes and such. So I'm just going to delete it. So the next thing we're going to be talking about is the block quote elements, and this is under some of the other elements contents that we have. Now let's say, for instance, you have a very long citation to know, maybe a very long quote to write. You use the block quote element for that. So take for instance, now you have something very long to quote. You use the block quotes. Maybe I have paragraph element here. Let me just bring this back here. So in this paragraph elements, here is what Toby thinks of education. Nice. So maybe in this case I might want to quote something very long, since it's what Toby wants to say. So I'm just going to open a block quotes element here, and in this block quote element I'm going to pass in what Toby has to say. You use it for very long quotations. There's also an element you use for short quotations too. So in this block quote, maybe I'm going to pass in something like Toby lives education is a very powerful medium. Nice. So that is the block quote element. So I'm just going to run this code. So as you can see, this is what the block quote element does. You might mistake it for a description list, but no, that is not the case. I'm only trying to quote something from Toby, so that is what the block quote does. It is used to quote very long things. Then we also have an element that we use for short stuff, and that is the Q element. So I'm just going to open a Q element here, but first you use that one for short stuff. So let me just close this. So quotes here, nice. So Toby believes that education is very powerful. So as you can see, this Q quotes text for me. It's used for short stuff. So if you've noticed, it actually called in some quotation marks. You use it for quotes, short quotes. So nice. So let's move further. These are just some of the other inline elements, that some of the other elements that I was going to talk about. And next thing we're going to be dealing with is page organization. So let me just clear this up. I'm trying to rush here because I'm having a low battery and there isn't any power right now. So yes, let's get started. So you need, for your page to be more organized and for other people to understand it, you need to divide it into sections. And I forgot to mention some. As I was saying, you need to organize your page for people to know and understand what you are trying to do, so that when other developers look at your code, they'll be able to understand it. I also forgot to mention something in the beginning of this video. We have what we call comments. Now, comments are simply notes that you leave in your code that won't actually get rendered with your code. So comment in HTML just has this simple syntax. Maybe main start, and for me to close this comment, simply just do this. Nice. So this is a comment in HTML. Look, if I run it, it doesn't pop up even though it's in the body tag. Your browser automatically ignores this because it knows that it is a comment. So always learn to comment your code to make it easier for other people to understand. So dividing your web page into sections. Now there are several sections in a web page. So we're going to be starting with one, which is the main section. So I'm just going to do this main. I'm going to open an element and call this main. beautiful. So as the name implies, in this place you're going to put in your main content of your website. Then afterwards you also have the header. Now don't confuse the header and the head. Head and header are two different tags. So header is contained in the body tag, while head is contained is a whole other tag on its own. It's just a this thing. It's an independent tag. So in the header, you can put things that you want people to see in the head of your website, the beginning of your website. Then also we have this element called section and article. So maybe you might have a section, and in this section now you can put something that you want, just any name you want. And within sections now you can call this your section anything you want. I'm going to show you how to give names to all these things when we're talking about ID and classes in just a few minutes here. So in sections you can have articles, just calling the article tag here. So this is just the basic elements that I need you to know. So let's say in my header, let me add a header one tag here. Don't mind the name header. It doesn't mean that it only has to contain header tags. Or no, sorry, header elements. No, that is not the case. It's just things that you want to be displayed in the head of your website. So next thing, maybe welcome to the lighthouse. Then this is a section, and this article, maybe we can use it to talk about the lighthouse. Just going to close this up. So the lighthouse is a one-off text startup that'll last all through the 100 days of code, and will teach you with your phone. Nice. So that is just the basic scope of things there. So when I run this, I get what I want. So yeah, that's just it there. Header section, what I want to be displayed in the head, a section for different parts and articles within that section. You can have multiple articles within a section, and you can also have a subsection inside a section. Then we also have some other elements too, maybe like a navigation bar. Navigation bars are usually contained in header elements, but for us to get our navigation bar to look good and everything, we need to apply some style sheets. So that will be later in the future. You also have some maybe addresses where you can just put in some addresses and save them there. Wow, 4%. So that is about it there. Then let us move further to what's the name? Some inline elements that we can use for simple things. So inline elements, you place them in between main elements themselves. So when I talk of inline now, this is a paragraph, right? Any element that I place inside this paragraph is called an inline one. We have loads of them, so I'm just going to be showing you a few. You can go on the internet and search for some of the other ones. So maybe I might just open what's the name, an inline element here. This stands for emphasis. I want emphasis on a particular text. So I'm sorry if my background is noisy. I'm in a very noisy place, so I'm just going to need this. And as you can see, where I have introduce that emphasized text gets emphasized, and as you can see, the lighthouse is slightly focused on. But this isn't the only one. We have loads of them. I'm going to be sharing with you the ones that you use most. We also have strong, just to increase the opacity. As you can see, that's it there. We also have bold, just represented by the letter B. Doesn't give much of a difference between it and strong. You also have italics represented with I. As you can see, not much difference between it and emphasis. We also have S that you can use for a strike through. Maybe you want it cancelled, something like that. As you can see, there's a strike through it, 3%. You need to be quick. We also have underline text. Yeah, you can use this to underline. So that is just the basic ones that I'll be sharing with you. You can go on the internet for further reading. So what next? Next thing we'll be talking about is some generic elements like the div and span. So take for instance, now you use a div to describe an entire place. So let's say you're in an area now. The area I stay, let's call it area 1. And in my area there are multiple streets. Now what comprises of my area completely, what makes up my area completely, is what is called the div. Then the span element now is the different streets within it. So if I call this a div, and just close this after article, then phone's about to die. Div. So this is a div right here. So that is nice. This is what divs are. Then span you use it for inline stuff, just to give it some nice feeling. Span, you use it for inline, not as it actually does anything on its own, but when you are using style sheets and you assign a class to it, you'll see what it does. So those are the generic elements. Okay, that should be about it. Generic elements, div and span. Then we move further on to ID and classes. Now ID is a unique identifier. To declare an ID, you just head over to the opening portion of an element and assign an ID to it. So this ID, I'm just going to call it a name. Then how about class? Now class can stand for is what you use for a group of things. So maybe in my header I can decide to give it a class of header elements. So nice, this is just about it. So this is ID and class. So ID is a unique identifier while class is a general identifier. Beautiful. Then for some special characters, okay, so let's carry on. In case you have noticed the transition, my phone died, so I just had to shoot this particular video separately and merge it with the other one. So let's continue. Now the final thing we'll be talking about is character escapes. Now I'm very sure you've seen special characters such as copyrights, copyright team, so many of them, but I can't just pass them in directly. I need to do certain things. Like for instance, if I want to call in a copyright symbol here, I have to be like and copy, and copy, then run it. Bam, a copyright symbol is there. We have a list of of many of them. I'm going to drop a link in the description because I can't possibly show you every single one of them in one single video. We also have some less than symbols and less than and greater than. Let me just run this. You can see all of them. Sorry. That's less than, that's greater than. So you can see all of them. There are so many, so many that I can't begin to list them in one video. But those are just a few character escapes that we have and will most likely use all the time. So with that being said, this is the end of the video. So just a quick recap of what we did here. We talked about paragraphs, headings, thematic breaks. Remember headings number from 1 through 6. We talked about thematic breaks with the horizontal row, and there's also another element called the BR, the break line elements. We use that in day 4 when we're creating our first web page. If you've been following up on the series, we also talked about lists, the unordered list, the ordered list, and the description list. We also talked about some other element content such as block quotes and quotes themselves. And then what else again? We talked about how we can organize a page. We used headers, footers, main, articles, sections, and those are the things that we used. We also learned some about some inline elements that are used to give our documents more structure, such as making some certain text bold, making them in italics or emphasized text. We also learned about the generic elements we have, which are the div and the span. We learned about character escapes. So those are the things we learned about. Remember, character escapes and special character symbols. You can't just pass them in like that. No, there are certain things you need to do. You need to use the and symbol as a prerequisite to this, then the specific code name given to that element. I'm going to leave a link in the description below. So don't forget to share the lighthouse with your friends and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Remember, this is powered by Students Hub, a tech startup an tech startup company that's going to improve the quality of education here in Nigeria. So stay tuned, and I will see you tomorrow in the next video, which is day 6, where we learn how to add links. Goodbye.